Well, I am delighted to welcome to Property Tribes for the first time in 2021, renowned property developer John Howard. And John, lovely to see you. Happy New Year to you.
And a happy New Year to you, Vanessa. Let's hope it is a happy one.
Well, hopefully we're going to influence that a little bit in this
Yes.
video, because you very kindly came to me as a PT partner and said, how would you like to do a Zoom video to get everybody, fired up for the new year, and come up, and you said, I'll come up with my top kind of 5 strategies that I think are going to do well in the new year, in 2021. So that's what this video is all about. But before we get going, John, as ever, you haven't rested on your property laurels over the Christmas period, have you? While other people were, putting their tree up and their fairy lights and getting ready for the big day, you were out doing deals, suited and booted, and you actually completed one just before Christmas, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I actually exchanged on Christmas Eve. And the reason I was able to exchange on Christmas Eve, because of course no bloody solicitors are working. Some solicitors actually stop work the week before Christmas. Can you believe that? When there's people still wanting to move, still wanting to get their new home for Christmas, those solicitors said, oh, we've had a busy year, we're going to give up on Friday, instead of working to the Wednesday or even the Thursday. So I managed to exchange on my deal because, and we'll talk about it a bit in my strategies, but I managed to exchange on mine because it was an auction contract, signed the contract, and it was done. How simple is that? How wonderful is it to be able to buy property just by signing your contract yourself and then emailing it to the auctioneer and saying, right, let's exchange, and it's done, compared to all that faffing around with lawyers.
Fantastic. Well, we will talk about your latest deal, no doubt, in the course of this call. And we do have a video that you've created for your own YouTube channel, which will pop underneath this one in the footer, so people can see what you've been up to. Because, John, you are a self-confessed deal junkie. You never stop. You don't want to stop.
No,
you're always...
I can't stop. I've got overheads. I've got an entourage. I've got horses, grooms, land. I've got, that if that's not enough to keep you going, nothing will, and a wife. So, it all needs to be paid for. So I've got to keep going.
Now, nobody is going to deny that we are going to face some serious headwinds in 2021. Obviously, we've got so many things impacting the market: the third lockdown, the economic fallout from that, Brexit, the ending of furlough, no doubt increasing unemployment, all sorts of things coming together. But you've had 40 years experience. You're not going to stop now. And you have very kindly put together your 5 top strategies for 2021. Are they in any particular order?
Well, they are in a sort of order, yes. And what I would say, first of all, listen, what you've said is absolutely true, Vanessa. All those things you've listed are true. But the one thing that we can all benefit from, sadly, in a way, is turbulence. So when there's a problem, when people are, when businesses are struggling, it creates an opportunity for others. And you might argue it's survival of the fittest. You might say it's a bit ruthless. But I would say if you're a property developer and investor who is not businesslike and doesn't treat it as a business, you won't be in the business very long, because it's a tough game out there. And I've been criticised for saying, I think dog eats dog eat dog, which to a point you have the people that you work with surrounding you and who you deal with, but everyone else is a competitor. And I think the one thing I see out there is when I'm doing my joint ventures now, which I've started doing, is that so many people, 2 things. One, everyone wants to share everything with everyone else, and they're all your competitors. So why tell people what deals you're likely to do? Get on and do them. Don't go telling everyone else about them until they're done. And the second thing is, people, and a lot of first-time developers especially, do not seem to see danger. They only see the upside. They don't see danger. They don't see you've got to be cautious. You've got to be businesslike, and you've got to be optimistic, but it must be tinged with some caution. They seem to almost miss out the danger element, and there is a danger in every deal, and you need to analyze what the danger is and decide whether or not it's a risk, a calculated risk you can afford to take.
I would concur 100%, and also I think those risks have been amplified by COVID, because we are kind of in uncharted waters. I don't think you've gone through a pandemic in your 40 years experience, so it is completely into the unknown, really. And part of what we wanted to do in this interview, John, was to encourage people to keep looking for deals. And actually, just on Twitter this morning, I saw a tweet saying entrepreneurs are active in any market, and during the last recession, some very successful businesses like Airbnb and I think there was WhatsApp was the other one. They were formed during the last recession. So, as you say, there is opportunity out there.
Great opportunities.
So, what should we go to number one first?
Yeah, number one is, and people might say I'm a bit obsessed by this at the moment, but number one is buying at auction, and I've broken it down as two different strategies at auction. Two different strategies. So the first one is literally buying a property below market value, or a property that you believe you can add value to by changing the planning permission, not necessarily doing any work to the property, just being smart, changing the planning permission and whacking it back in the auction a few months later with that extra planning permission, or sorting out whatever issue or problem it had in the first place. And that's important going forward, because that's for property, that's pretty quick money. You can turn a deal like that round easily in 6 months, maybe 4 or 5 months if you're really clever. Or you may not have to put it back in the auction. You might be able to trade it on to someone else who wasn't at the auction, or wasn't able to purchase at the auction, and you were. So buying a property at auction, similar to what I did on Christmas Eve, didn't sell in the auction, bought it afterwards. So buying after the auction is a really good strategy, because you're not running around wasting loads of time and money looking at things that sell for too much money. Wait till after the auction, and then if the property that you like hasn't sold, then contact the auctioneer, and you may well be able to do a negotiated deal. You might say, look, I need 2 weeks to find the money, or I need 2 weeks to do this or that, and they may give it to you because they haven't sold it at the auction.
Fantastic. John, we mentioned you've got 40 years experience. I think what's really interesting is that you can look back into your own archive of strategies and maybe revive some that you've used before, that then you put on the back burner because the conditions weren't right. Have you looked at any kind of strategies to revive for this top 5?
Well, actually, you could argue that the first two, the two auction ones are, because last year and towards the end of last year, but certainly most of last year, I wasn't looking at auction because the market was too strong, and the year before that. So I'm sort of dusting off my auction book I wrote and getting out there because this is where the deals are going to come first. Distressed stock. Banks that have got, the one we bought in the summer, which we'll talk about next in strategy 2. In fact, let's do it now. Yep. So buying at auction again, but buying at auction residentially. This is properties that are part finished, where somebody's gone bust on it, and this is going to be more and more common as the year goes by, and next year. So you can pick up a property that's part finished. It comes with its challenges. I understand that. You need to understand what needs to be finished, how, whether all the work they've done so far has been done right. But you can pick up someone else's heartache, if you like, and finish it and make money on it. And we bought this property last year. It's another one. I'm speaking from experience, because I bought this property, didn't sell in the auction. We bought it in November time. The bank had gone bankrupt, which is interesting. The bank had gone bust. The builder had gone bust. It went to the auction and didn't sell. You can't get more desperate than that, can you, really? And then we picked it up after the auction, paid 1.8 million for it, 20 part finished houses. We're just going through all the necessary painful process at the moment of making sure that everything is in place so that we can start back on site. So all the preconditions that weren't sorted out, all the problems that they had planning wise, we've got to sort out before we can get back on site. So it is a bit longer, but you can pick up some really good bargains that way. So that's my second strategy. So
I'm going to dub that one, picking up the pieces.
Picking up the pieces, yeah, and
somebody else who
someone else's problems, sadly,
someone else's solving.
And if you feel sorry, you can feel sorry for people who have got themselves in a muddle and sadly gone bankrupt. But actually, if you don't buy it, someone else will. So you need to be tough about it and say, well, these, that hopefully they'll learn from their experience, and it's very sad.
Something I learned from you. Sorry, John, I was just going to say something I learned from you about the auctions before we move on. You explained to me that the auctions are where you always see the first trends coming through because they're very, very real time. There's not a lag like the land registry or, normal sales. They're very instantaneous, and they're a very good barometer of what's happening in the property market.
Absolutely right, Vanessa. What I love about auctions is what I said to start with. I exchanged on Christmas Eve, for goodness sake, and the deal's done. You've bought it, you're on it, you're getting on with it, you're getting it sorted out. And when you buy off, normal, what's called private treaty, we all know it can take so long to buy anything. I've got joint ventures I'm doing with other people now who've come to me who want my help. And it's probably each deal's taking 3 months because you get the lawyers involved, this, that, and the other. It takes time to get to buy these properties normally. So if you can cut that time down, the sooner you buy the property, the sooner you improve it or do whatever you're going to do, the sooner you sell it on again, the more deals you'll do in a year over a 2-year period because you're doing them quicker. And that's also important. You can have a deal that makes you £500,000 net profit, but if it takes you 3 years to do it, you're better off to do 3 deals in that time at less profit to make more profit, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense.
It's really important to know how long that deal is going to take. And by the way, it always takes longer than what you think.
So should we move on to strategy number 3?
Yeah. So number 3 is what's happening really later on this year with planning, because there's a new band E planning wise, which has, for instance, all sorts of things in it, like children's nurseries. Now, band E is going to be included in the new PD. So the PD, permissive development rights, are going to be opened up greatly from where they are now. At the moment, it's just offices to residential and some shops and bits and bobs. It's going to be opened up dramatically, which is great news for everyone. Now, you might say, well, that's not till July. Well, no, but if you buy now, the time you've got your plan sorted out and taken 3 months to buy it, you won't be far off July. And there's no point going for full planning on it, because under PD, you won't need to pay. There'll be no social housing requirement, and there'll be no what's called CIL, Community Infrastructure Levy, either. So it won't be as easy as the office to residential's been. They're going to make they're putting on more restrictions in it to rather than that, because that was the PD has been very, very easy to do. Very easy. And the other thing they're changing in April, don't forget, is these micro units. So my friend Nicholas Warwork is putting his hair out, because as from April, he won't be able to do these small professional micro units that he lets out to professional people after April. So, again, a change of strategy Nicholas is coming up with. So all these things are in the melting pot. And the best way to find out about all these things is go to the government website. Go to the government website. Everything is on that website. Everything you need to know. Don't listen to loads of other people and get different opinions sometimes. Just go to the website, and it will tell you all about it.
Fantastic. That one sounds like an absolute corker. Number 4.
Number 4 is supported living. Now, this is something that I have never done in my life before, but I've sold 1 or 2 blocks of flats in the last year or two to people who work with supported living companies. So what they do, they bought the block of flats off me, and you might argue, but that's not very sharp of you, John. They bought the box of flats off me. They sign up a long lease with the supported living company for, say, 20 years, 15 years. And then they create an investment which they could then retain or sell. So I'm going to cut out the middleman or middle lady, as it happens, and I'm going to do them myself. So I'm going to be working with supported housing groups, buying some of the stock that I'm buying at the moment will be suitable for them, and others, if they tell me where they want them, I'll go and buy them.
Wow! So you're
let them to them over a period of time, and then I've got the opportunity. I've still got options. I can still retain it, refinance it, or I can sell it on as an investment on a good yield. So happy days. So hopefully I'm going to be getting involved in that. So that's my fourth strategy, and my fifth one is a bit selfish, as if the others aren't. The fifth one is my joint venture fund. So my John Howard joint venture fund, we've got to start with, we've got £10 million available to invest in other people's projects. Ideally, the sort of money we want to invest is probably between 250,000 and 750,000 in each one. I can then go and raise more money if I need to. We hope to do 20 odd deals across the UK this year. I'm just recruiting a surveyor to help me evaluate all these deals that I'm being offered and so on. But if anyone's got any deals that they can't fund, then they can obviously come to my website and get in touch with me that way. So that's my fifth strategy, is working and helping other people who want to do developments or who have started and perhaps got into difficulty and need some more money. I'm available for all those types of deals. Nothing is off the table. I have a credit committee that I have to go to, which is myself and two other people, once a week to get them approved. But if I say they're approved, they're pretty much approved.
Fantastic. So we will put a link to the John Howard Joint Venture Fund information below the video for anybody who is interested in contacting John and working with him. John, I think from what you've been saying, and I just wanted to tick this box, all of these 5 strategies, the deals would always meet the parameters of your 3 golden rules. Yes. Do you want me to repeat the 3 golden rules? Well, I think we could pop a link under the video, but I heard a few of them just coming out when you were talking. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If we look at was it an ex-care home or nursing home that you exchanged on Christmas Eve? Yeah, so let's look at that. Yeah, so what happened was I was looking at the property during the auction process, got the catalogue, decided which ones that if they didn't sell I'd be interested in, and this one in Harwich in Essex, not that far away, from about 30 miles away from me, to be fair. I know Harwich quite well over the years. I've done a few deals there. So when it didn't sell, I was straight on to the auctioneer, agreed a deal the next day, and then we got it signed up. 2 days later they had to get permission off the receiver. And I love the word receiver or administrator, because that means that they've got no personal interest in it. All they want to do is sell it. So all that personal baggage is out the window. All they want to know is what are you going to pay for it? They're not looking at they are looking at sort of a loss situation, but only on behalf of the bank. But they're not looking at it's not like a personal loss to anyone. That's happened, unfortunately, by that stage. So I looked at it and I thought, right, it was 2 big houses originally, and they put a link in the middle. So I thought, right, if we get rid of the link, let's go for planning for 2, to put it back into 2 big houses. Now, they are very big houses, but it's in a really good road in Harwich. So they'll go for decent money. One's got sea views, one hasn't, but they were good for good money. So that's my first option. My first option is purely get the planning, take down the middle little single-story extension, and sell them off individually. Yep. So very straightforward. I'm not going to spend any money on them whatsoever. I'm just going to split them and sell them. So that's one option. The second option is to do it as an HMO, and
I've got one or two people who have contacted me via Property Tribes and said, John, be interested in doing a rent to rent. So that's another option. So I'm talking to one or two people on a rent to rent. Need to get planning, of course, on all these things. So my planning permission goes in this Friday. This Friday. No messing around. It's in. And that's also important. I don't complete for another 2 weeks, but I've got the planning in now. So look at the, I haven't bought it yet, but I've already got the planning in. So, or will have on Friday. So that makes huge difference. You've got to move quickly on these deals because you want to move on to the next one. Really, really important that you don't sit there thinking about it for like months and months and faffing around. Be decisive, get on with it. So I'm putting back planning application in for splitting into back into two houses, and also for an HMO. Now, I could have gone for flats as well, but that would have taken a lot more time to do the flat scheme and so on. And actually, I haven't got the parking with it. There's a lot of flats in Harwich as well. So I haven't gone for that. But also, don't forget, I'm also now contacting all my new friends in the care sector because supported living. So now I'm finding all the supported living companies and asking them, look, I've got a nursing home here. It's all set up. It's all in good condition. Do you want to rent it? So they're three different options I've already got. And of course, depending which one I take, I can rent it, refinance it and move on, or I can rent it, and then sell the investment on, or I can sell them two individual houses separately for reasonable money, make a good profit, all within 6 months.
Fantastic insights as ever, John. And, those were the 5 strategies that you had for us. But I'm seeing a common thread through all of them, and that would be the tactic of speed. It sounds to me as if 2021, you're going to be very fleet of foot, and you're going to make quick decisions and move things along if that's your chosen strategy. It doesn't sound, John, like you want to get into any really, really sort of lengthy, complicated projects. It seems more that you're in speed mode.
I'm in speed mode in one sense, yes. I think the danger, it's always difficult because a lot of people would bring the joint ventures to me. A lot of them are conversions that take a year to do. And actually, if you're a year and a half off, I don't honestly think, the market, I think in a year and a half will be okay. I think this year is going to be difficult, but I think going forward, we're probably okay. But the speed is also not just about being wanting to do more deals in a 2-year cycle or whatever, but it's also, of course, if the market is going to move, it's going to be difficult. If you're in and out the market, you can soon, when you get back out the market, you want to get back in again, it might have dropped. That's fine because you're out the market a bit. So, we've already, of course, the amount of properties I've got, I have got stock that's on the market. I'm trying to sell it. So, I am fleet of foot when I can be, but obviously I'm like everyone else. If you've got stock and you're selling it, then you can only go as quick as the market really dictates to you to a point. And the market, last year was actually very good. And this year, we've started off, I think with what's happening, it's going to be pretty tough till March. And of course, after March, we're not going to have the stamp duty relief. And it doesn't look like he's going to, taper that down at all. He's been asked to, the Chancellor. And actually, I think that's a worry because you and I and Nick probably remember 1989 when they took the double tax relief off people and told everyone 6 months beforehand it was going to happen. And of course, it caused a complete frenzy. And then afterwards, the market dropped because everyone had bought and the inflation of properties had gone up. And then afterwards, there was a lull. And I'm surprised that they are making that same mistake again. I thought they would at least phase it out. And I think, on my Twitter, we'll be saying something on Twitter about that shortly because I think it's a very important point.
I think what might happen, John, is that if people don't meet the stamp duty deadline, they will try and renegotiate the price.
For sure.
Discount it down by what the stamp duty holiday would have saved them. So we might see potentially a lot of chains starting to collapse and people trying to shore them up and keep it going. And there could be opportunity there. So if there are cash rich investors out there, that might be an opportune moment to start getting back into buying mode.
Well, I think also, these solicitors are under a lot of pressure, because if it's their fault that it doesn't happen by the 31st of March because they're inefficient and haven't done what they're meant to do, that would be criminal. That they are costing their client maximum, £15,000. That would be criminal. Now, I'm not saying that will be the case with everyone. Of course, it won't. It will be for other reasons. Indecision by the buyers, indecision by the sellers, indecision by the mortgage broker, indecision by the lending institution. But if it isn't, if it's down to the solicitor, how appalling will that be?
Well, they'll definitely help to...
Just not acceptable in my point. As far as I'm concerned, anything like that is just not acceptable.
Well, they will have to help the client negotiate the equivalent discount price.
Well, that's the least they can do. But I mean, it's pretty appalling if that happens.
I agree. Well, as always, John, you are just a burst of energy and knowledge and fresh thinking. So thank you very much for joining me here on this call. And just remind everybody, John has his 3 books that deal with different aspects of property investment. And there's a book about buying at auction, which is obviously very pertinent as according to John. And John, you're restarting your seminars in April as well, and we'll put your training days below the video here as well for those that are interested to come and meet you in person and get some more inputs from you. So thank you very, very much, as always, John. And I think we've got an exciting and unpredictable and volatile year ahead, but there'll still be ways forward.
That's great, Vanessa. Absolutely. Where there's volatility, there's deals to be done.
Thank you very much, John. We'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.